Hello. Today's stories come from r/IDontWorkHereLady. I've got 4 stories. First up, Photo Infinite Loop. Medium, meaty story for you today. Took place probably 10 years ago. Some details are at best barely remembered. I was working the photo counter at my place of employ, a pharmacy with corner store attached, emphasis on corner. A customer comes up and requests that I take their photo for passport pictures. So I basically let the photo lab come to a screeching halt so I can top priority these photos. We fuss and fumble getting the customer to stand still, not show their teeth, and maybe get their chin anything close to level. Then comes the next painful part, the question. And how many sets of 2 would you like? They give me the blank stare of a person that has just asked a very hard math question. I smile and try to get them through the mental blockage. They're sold in attached pairs, like pants. I point to my glasses, or glasses, and I flip my wrist to now point to my pants. This got them to break their stupor. Oh, yeah, I need 2. Now, having fallen victim to this trap before, I double check. 2 pairs of 2, yes? He confirms. I increase the number of sets. A few moments later, I cut out the 4 small pictures and mount them on the display card. I wave to the waiting customer, and we head to the register. I ring him up, and then, as per procedure, I say the total out loud. He stops dead in his tracks. Oh, wow, that's more expensive than I thought. I'll just take 1 set, he says apologetically. Not a problem. I take 2 of the 4 away and modify the price down on the register. Okay, now half the first price. I set the unwanted pictures behind me on the lab counter. He then looks at me. What are you going to do with those? He asked. Oh no, I can tell this was going to be trouble. I just didn't know what form the destroyer of my day would take. I will destroy the prints and recycle the paper, I said truthfully. Well, if you're just gonna throw them out, I'll take them. Okay, this game then. I grab the photos and remove the price modification. Whoa, 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 he exclaims. Why is the price back up? I take a breath. Because you're taking both sets. Well, I don't want both, just one. No problem. I remove the second set and modify the price down again. Once more, the pics are set aside. Wait, you're just gonna throw those away? He asks. Internally, I groan. Externally, I just nod. Yes, sir, because you do not want them. And predictably, he says, well, if you're just gonna throw them away. And he proceeds to make me go through the song and dance loop 3 more times before he got too angry and just took the 2 pair. And his parting shot? This is one hell of a racket you got going here. Make too many pictures and just force people to pay for them. How many times do you think they could have kept that going? It didn't even sound like they needed more than 2. They just had to have the freebie for the sake of the win. It also sounds like they can avoid this whole thing if they just ask how many photos they need. There was a good comment pointing out why this wouldn't work. Puddle Duck said, at the 2 pairs of 2 point, I would have said, that means 4 photos in total. Is that correct? Just to avoid this. In Triple Time responded, I agree that clarification is important here, but only to the extent that it covers one's own butt. Clarifying for the customer's sake is a useless endeavor. OP could put an array of signs, all signifying the fact that photos are printed in pairs. Play a loud alarm every 60 seconds with a voiceover by Gilbert Gottfried screeching, when you order passport photos, the machine prints them in pairs and you will be charged accordingly. And heck, even put out a bowl of pears for customer consumption while they wait to really subconsciously drive that point home. And someone would still get confused by it. Idiot proofing is impossible. Our next story is The Karen That Wasn't. Let me preface this by saying that this is not my story. It's my friend's, but I was with him at the time it happened. We were at this shopping center buying stuff for our annual camping or fishing summer trip a couple of years before the world went mad. As both of us were already almost done with the needed goodies and just had to buy some extra cans, one folding camping chair, and possibly a thermos, I can't recall the exact things to save my life, and it doesn't really matter. We were in our off-road outfits, leather boots, camo clothes, and backpacks. An older gentleman was in the same aisle as us. His cart was left a little away from him, as he didn't want to push it in all the way. He was using a walking cane. He then approached us and asked us where the croissants were. We had already passed the food area, and we also knew that in order for him to get there, he would have to limp over to his cart and then all the way back to us and to the other aisle. My friend asked him if that was his cart. The gentleman nodded and pointed at it. My friend then said, "Stay here, I'll get it for you," and quickly went and got it. The old man said, "Thanks," and went on with his shopping. Enter the woman. As my friend and I returned to our browsing, we saw what I can easily describe as the most beautiful woman I have seen in my life. Just a tad younger than us, long, straight blonde hair, the bluest and whitest eyes that ever existed on a human, tall, slim, extremely well dressed, classy black heels, the kind of woman you'd think only exists after a few weeks of extensive Photoshop effort. Apparently, she had seen my friend run to get the gentleman's cart because she threw the bluest glance towards him, raised her hand, and, I kid you not, snapped her fingers and pointed towards her own cart. We looked at each other, and my friend actually looked at himself, his camo clothes and leather boots, and looked back at me with a "dude, what?" look on his face, while I was mouthing a silent "wow" back at him. We did nothing. She then took a longer look at us, raised a perfectly done eyebrow, and said with a voice like a steel fist in a velvet glove, "Well?" My friend, always the witty one, said, "I actually am well, thanks." "Aren't you going to get my cart to the register?" she asked, her eyes never leaving his face, obviously making him uncomfortable. "Why?" he said, unsure how to react. "Isn't that your job?" Years of reading stories on this sub and 500 plus videos on Dark Fluff's YouTube channel came crashing in. She thought we worked there. We often exchanged links and watched and read stories together, so we knew. We also knew that the only way to shut down a situation like this is to out Karen the Karen. From this point on, I was just an observer. "I'm sorry, miss. I don't work here." "What do you mean I don't work here?" "But I don't work here." And he clapped his hands to emphasize don't. "Well, I don't work here," with claps on every word. She puffed, turned around on her heels, and started walking away so fast it looked like those 1000% sped up jump scare gifs. She got like 50 feet away, then she stopped and walked back to us. I thought to myself, holy hairy jumping crap balls, here we go again. She said to him in a stern voice that demanded attention, "Listen." I braced for impact. She took a breath and said, "I just wanted to apologize." My brain gears screamed, begging for some WD 40 like, "Karen apologizes? What?" I can see my friend is as baffled as a giraffe at a typewriter. So he says, "There's no need." "I am sorry." "Really, miss, it's not I am sorry. But I am sorry," with claps on every word. I couldn't take it anymore. I burst out laughing. I haven't laughed like that since I can't remember. I fell to my knees. I got tears in my eyes, boogers coming out, the whole shebang. It was the funniest thing ever. Seeing my friend's mouth open and close several times only made it even harder. I then saw that she can hardly contain her own laughter. Finally, the absurdity of the situation hit my friend as well, and he roared his way down to the floor next to me, laughing his butt off. Turned out she wasn't a Karen at all. She just honestly thought we worked in the outdoor aisle in our outdoor clothes and was trying to apologize after the first time he told her that wasn't the case. But he did not let her finish a sentence in his effort to out Karen the Karen. What happened after that, you ask? They are expecting their second child this autumn. Oh man, I'm conflicted here. Was she not a Karen? Or did she shut it down once she was interested in the guy? So she's still out there, now a suburban Karen mom waiting to pounce at the next outdoor clothing section near you. It's a very cute story, though. Kai Unknown said, "Who snaps their fingers at people?" Equivalent Salary 357 said, "Future wives, it seems." Acrylic Mole said, "As a teacher, I've had kids snap their fingers at me. Don't snap your fingers at a teacher. It unfurls a demon teacher that will spill out pent up rage upon you." This isn't Shakespeare said. Does she snap her fingers at her husband, point at their baby, and say, "Change the baby's diaper now"? Odette 3. I bet she does as a joke now. Next up, pay no attention to the pink sparkly wristband. This happened in 2015. I was managing the hotel packages for Aftershock as well as several other music festivals. In addition to working with the hotels to make sure everyone has a room with fluffy pillows, etc., the job involves distributing tickets, wristbands, swag, merch vouchers, etc. Also, lots of questions via text and email. Because I interface with the fans, my email and phone number were at the bottom of the festival website. In fact, my number was the only one listed on the site, and my email was one of only 3 listed. This often caused me grief because I got all sorts of crazy questions that had nothing to do with my job. Many of them had nothing to do with anything festival related at all. The cool thing about this job is that my work is always 80 to 95% done by the time the show starts, so I was free to enjoy the festival. This particular year, we went from lanyards to cloth wristbands for our credentials, which allowed us to go into production areas and backstage, etc. Fans got bands that said general admission or VIP. Vendors got ones that said vendor. Same for guests, media, production staff, etc. Well, they ran out of the nice cloth production wristband, so they gave me a volunteer wristband. It was plastic, pink, and sparkly. And I didn't really care because it got me everywhere I needed or wanted to be, just like everyone else working the show. Well, Sunday night comes, and I'm hanging out with some friends who work the box office, and they asked if I was heading to production and would I mind taking this huge stack of tickets and merch vouchers back there. I agreed and stuffed about 250K worth of paper into my backpack and headed that way. Well, when the headliners go on, we pretty much lock down the entrances to backstage. If you're already in, you can stay. Production staff, artists, etc., are allowed in, but not the bearers of the pink sparkly volunteer wristbands. So, I'm at the entrance to the backstage area, and the guard is like, "You can't go in there." I'm trying to tell him that I'm working the show and I absolutely have to get this stuff back to the production office. He's not having it because I'm obviously just a pink sparkly volunteer trying to get backstage to meet Slipknot or something. So I pull out my phone and I'm calling coworkers trying to get someone to meet me to pick up the tickets and stuff, but they aren't answering. The guard is cool, but he has his orders, so I wasn't mad at him. He said, "If you can get someone on the phone and I can verify that they work for Aftershock, I'll let you in." Then it hits me. I asked if he had a smartphone with him. He did, but he wasn't eager to pull it out when he was supposed to be working. So I pulled out my personal phone and went to the Aftershock website and handed it to him. I had him scroll down and find the only phone number on the page and asked him to call it and ask them if they can authorize me to get backstage. He calls the number and the business phone in my other pocket rings. I answered and said, "You can let that guy in." The look on his face was priceless. I asked if he was satisfied, and he wasn't sure what to say, so I offered double or nothing. I said, "If you scroll down to the email address that says at presents.com, I can send you a response so you won't get in trouble for letting me in." He waved me through. Later, I brought him a Monster Energy drink and some festival swag and thanked him for doing his job so well and being professional. I just love these types of "I don't work here, lady." It's just a simple yet comical misunderstanding, but everyone remains professional and they sort it out by some unusual and clever means. They're rare and always worth including. Oh, and I had to look it up, but Aftershock is a concert event in Sacramento, California, if anyone else was curious. And now for our final story. My brother's lover thinks I am a scammer. English is not my first language, so please bear with any grammatical error that you find in this story. The story happened a few days ago. Background: my older brother owns several restaurants in different states. Since many of them are far away, he rarely visits them since their opening. One of the restaurants that is a bit further than others, where we have to spend 12 hours drive to get there, so my brother only visits that restaurant for 4 to 5 times in a year since its opening. Plus, with Fiverr's situation, he couldn't afford to go there for a whole year. He passed all the work for the restaurant, including all the management, hiring, and accounting, to the manager, who apparently one of the family friends who lives near the restaurant. On to the story. One day, my brother asked me to go to that restaurant. Since I'm on vacation days and I was bored at home doing nothing, I usually spend a week for a vacation just to be lazy at home doing nothing. I agree to go there and book a flight to go there. Because of the virus, the ticket price is cheaper, and I don't want to waste my time and energy to drive. I arrived there, I rented a car, and went straight to the restaurant. I called the manager earlier to inform him about my visit. Brian, the manager, welcomed me and brought me to my brother's office. Usually the office is locked and only my brother and Brian own the key to the office. There's a mail slot at the door where the staff can put in their complaints about the restaurant to my brother without worrying about being known to others. There were many complaints from that, and I collected them to read. Brian left me in the office and he went out to do his work. I spent some time to read the complaints and restaurant reports in the office. Suddenly, a girl, 30ish, appeared at the door with a face that looks like someone mocking her ancestors. She is a blonde, and her lips and cheeks obviously just got stung by bees. Let's call her Swollen Karen, or SK. Who are you? Nobody is allowed to be here. Oh, and I say my name. Are you a thief? Are you trying to steal from this restaurant? Thief. I don't know there's a thief who would name themselves to others. And I say my brother's name, little sister. Don't lie, as if I will believe in a thief. Leave now, or I'll call the cops. Ma'am, I'm not lying here. You can ask Brian. Ma'am, don't you dare insult me. I'm still young. Well, with her swollen lips and cheeks, she does look older. So I say, please call Brian here. He knows that I'm the owner's sister. No need to call Brian. You are obviously a scammer and a thief. I know the owner's whole family. I'm his lover. Honestly, my jaw dropped on the floor hearing that claim. I couldn't remember the exact exchange after that, but essentially, I was trying to convince her that I am who I am, and her argument was I am a thief and scammer. Several workers overheard our argument, but they could only watch since no one in the restaurant knows my face except for Brian. Some of them tried to argue with Swollen Karen, said that how did I have the key to the office if I'm not the owner's sister, but they got shut down by her. Swollen Karen said that she knew that I'm not my brother's sister since she is my brother's lover and knows our whole family. And later, she claimed that she is my brother's fiancée. Girl, my brother is a married man with 2 kids. I tried to call Brian to sort this situation, but unfortunately, he was out of the restaurant for several errands. Swollen Karen threatened to call cops unless I left the office. Me, didn't want to escalate the situation further, decided to leave the restaurant and waited for Brian, who rushed back to the restaurant with his car. Brian arrived and I told him the whole situation. His face was pale and he profusely apologized to me. We both returned to the restaurant and Swollen Karen's turn to drop her jaw on the floor. I asked Brian to close the restaurant for a while since I need to sort this situation out. Luckily, because of Vid, no customers were in the restaurant, only takeout and online orders. She screamed like a banshee while calling me a liar, scammer, thief, robber, and every criminal occupation that she knows. Dang, I'm busy with so many jobs at once. She showed the picture of my brother and her from high school to support her claim and proceed to condemn my existence. Brian took out our family picture from the owner's office and pointed to my grinning face in the portrait. Since that portrait is in the owner's office, which is kept locked until now, she never knew it existed. So I say, Swollen Karen. Yeah, I really called her that. You claimed that you were my brother's lover since high school. However, I know all of his ex girlfriends from his first until now, and his current beloved wife. He didn't have many lovers since he is very loyal to his partners, and our whole family know each of his lovers. That picture that you showed? I know it was from the prom night where he was crowned as prom king. Guess how many girls who took pictures with him at that night alone? All staff who believed that she is the owner's lover now realized she lied. They started jumping in. So you're not the owner's girlfriend? You said you went on vacation with the owner's family before. Is that a lie too? If it was true, why wouldn't you recognize his sister? What about those rose bouquets that you received every few months and you said it was from the owner? So I say, well, Brian, I don't think my brother would like it if his beloved has to work here and dirty her hands. What do you think? Swollen Karen huffed and puffed and left, realizing that I just fired her butt. I called my brother and told him the whole story. Brian said he actually believed her after Swollen Karen showed him the picture of her and my brother in high school. That was why Brian didn't say anything about her claim, because he thought that she was still in contact with my brother. Meanwhile, my brother didn't even know Brian had hired her. In fact, my brother couldn't even remember her name at all since it had been over 15 years since he graduated from high school. Well, I also know my brother's taste in women, and she is the perfect definition of the complete opposite of his taste. Plus, I know how obsessed he is with his own wife. Return home, my brother told me that a girl called him saying that she wants to sue the restaurant for employee mistreatment, harassment, slander, and character defamation and assault. Right now, we are in the middle of collecting evidence against her, including CCTV, witnesses from the staff, and the complaints that I received from the office mail slot. The recording of her pushing me to the restaurant's door is clearly shown in CCTV, so who assaulted who? Many of the staff hated her arrogance, but didn't dare to say anything to her because they believed her. Because of that, it was normal to write complaints every time they were being bullied by her and put them in the mail slot. Since the complaints had no names, my brother never went to read them. They thought nothing about it. Oh, and that bouquet of roses that my brother sent to her every month? We did some digging, and it came from a flower shop near her house, included with a receipt and record from the shop. She placed the order at the shop and asked them to send to her at the restaurant. Whoa, it was a bit rough with the English at parts, but I think I fixed most of the grammar. Can you believe this woman? Using a decades old picture to try and lord it over people? She's a perfect example of how I Don't Work Here Lady and Entitled People stories intersect. There was a nice update in the comments from OP. Wellness2 said, I wonder if perhaps an anonymous email system would work better than a letter system, so that people can get you or your brother's attention in case you can't get out there again for a while. I also wonder if any of the other staff who had to deal with her toxic behavior deserve some kind of small bonus or raise for remaining loyal to the restaurant. I'm sorry to you, your brother, and all those staff for this situation, but glad you managed to work it out. I'm sure all will work out well. OP replied, by the way, I told my brother about your suggestion for the employee's bonus. He agreed and will add 3 days paid vacation and all daily expenses, meals and groceries. For those 3 days will be paid by company. All of it for the gratitude for staying loyal and willing to put up with a psycho girl. If you've enjoyed the story and would like to hear more, consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment. Thanks, and bye for now.